Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, published in the Asbury Park Press on January 10, 2017, and revised via email on May 12, 2017.
Thanks, Katie. Roll call, please.
Mayor Coles?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Here.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Here.
Committeeman Ackerman?
Here.
Let the record reflect that Committeeman Delia is absent.
And move open. So made. Second. I will back it open. Please rise for salute to the flag, sir. Chief, if you lead us, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we pause to give our thanks for thy many blessings. We ask thy blessing upon this township committee and all those in authority so that they may serve the people. All this we ask in thy name. Amen.
I have a motion for the workshop, executive, and regular session minutes dated May 4th, 2017. So made. I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, let's turn it over to the chief. Greg?
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I'd like to call up Mr. Harry Delgado from New Jersey State Chiefs of Police Association, and he's got a short presentation he'd like to present us with. Actually, you want to face them? Or?
No.
What time is the meeting starting?
I apologize. Inevitably, someone gets my back. I'm sorry. But what brings me here tonight is quite a privilege, is to recognize your police department who have joined a very exclusive group of law enforcement agencies that have reached accreditation in the state of New Jersey. So if you indulge me for a couple of minutes, I'd like to share with you the significance of the achievement of the Lakewood Police Department. So out of potentially, to add context to it, out of potentially 470 agencies, perhaps a few more than that, that would be eligible to apply for accreditation in the state of New Jersey, only 182 are accredited to date. That's about 1/3 of those agencies that would be eligible. So that puts the Lakewood Police Department in a very elite group of law enforcement agencies. So accreditation is a process. The foundation of accreditation lies in the adoption of standards containing a clear statement of professional objectives. Accreditation is a progressive and time-proven way of helping law enforcement agencies calculate and improve their overall performances. It is a certification by an independent authority, in this case the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police, that the accredited agency was carefully measured against an established set of state and national standards, and that is important. And in the case of the Lakewood Police Department, and I'll address that in a few seconds, has exceeded many accepted practices in the field of law enforcement, which is quite remarkable. I know that taxpayers want to know what's in it for me. Research shows that agencies have 11% fewer police professional liability claims, 18% fewer working compensation claims, 31% fewer auto liability claims, and those that belong to a GIF certainly are entitled to a financial accommodation. But in addition to those fiscal advantages, there are other very important benefits of accreditation. Accredited agencies are better able to defend against lawsuits and citizen complaints. Accreditation provides objective evidence of an agency's commitment to excellence in leadership, resource management, and service delivery. Government officials can be more confident in the agency's ability to operate efficiently and meet community needs. Accreditation embodies the very important preset of community-oriented policing. I'll address that as well, particularly about the Lakewood Police Department. It creates a forum in which police and citizens work together to prevent and control challenges confronting law enforcement and provide clear direction about community expectations. Accreditation standards give to chief a proven management system or written directives, sound training, clearly defined lines of authority, and routine reports to support decision-making and resource allocation. And finally, as I see many here present tonight, officers in accredited agencies are able to take pride. They have been objectively recognized for their professionalism and adherence to the highest standards in law enforcement today. Now, this process might take up to 24 months. It's not easy. That's why there's only 182 agencies that are accredited today. It might take up to 24 months. It's very rigorous. So after that period, they finish what is called a self-assessment period. We actually come and visit you And we want to make sure that you meet and show, demonstrate, that you have proofs, tangible proofs, for 105 standards in the state of New Jersey. Now, many of those standards have more than one classification, subclassification that requires more than one proof, so multiple proofs. So there are more than 105. So out of that, a report is generated, which I review and submit to the commission. And I was able to capture some of the sentiment from the community about the Lakewood Police Department, and I think is worth sharing. Said the agency fully embraces a community policing mentality in their interactions with the people they serve. So here, community policing is a culture. It's not just something that they do. It was highly evident in speaking with members of the community and through various new articles outlining their partnership with the community. They serve a community of over 90,000 residents. That's also remarkable. The agency received phone calls during our calling session stating that the agency is well-trained and makes the community needs a top priority. The assessment team also received emails from a school principal stating that the agency always goes beyond the call of duty. So you can see the relationship forged within the community. Another thing that is truly remarkable is when we come in, I mentioned that we want to see proofs, and so we leave, as they say, no stone unturned. And there's usually issues found during this visit and addressed perhaps at that time, but there's issues found. In the case of the Lakewood Police Department, as much as we tried and as hard as we tried, we could not find one single issue. So that is remarkable, that they had a final on-site assessment that was clear of any blemishes whatsoever. That puts them in yet a more elite group. Less than 1% of the agencies that we initially assessed have an on-site assessment without any issues. And so it is the opinion of the assessment team that the Lakewood Police Department is a highly professional and committed agency which exemplifies all of the tenets of law enforcement accreditation at the state and national level. So it is indeed my pleasure tonight, on behalf of the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police and the New Jersey Law Enforcement Commission, to congratulate Chief Greg Meyer, Accreditation Manager Detective Sergeant Jeanette I told her, and I apologize, Shimonovich, the members of the Lakewood Police Department, the mayor and council, and those citizens that they so proudly serve for achieving state accreditation, joining a very exclusive group of law enforcement agencies that have made this important commitment to excellence in policing. So the police department, the chief, the police department, the council, congratulations. Chief.
You got filming that? You know, on our on-site visit that day, it was a nor'easter outside. It was raining, it was pouring, it was thundering, it was lightning. We went through a very interesting day that day. Yeah?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you again. Thank you very much.
You did good, you did good, you did good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Through the chair, if I could just compliment the chief, captains here, see lieutenant here, and I know Sergeant Shmanovich worked very hard. And I know you had some other officers that put a lot of effort into this. And Mayor, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago when I came to the committee and named the price tag, and I believe we met. I met with then Chief Wilson and members of the accrediting agencies. I think it was the Rogers Group that started it. And it's amazing that we came to where we are today. And I know that I speak for all of us when I say that, you know, to hear that it was without blemishes. I guess I shouldn't say I wasn't expecting that, but I wasn't. And it's amazing. And you do have a culture in the police department of understanding, of kindness, of community policing, and at the same time enforcing law to keep all of us safe. So I guess I say on behalf of the mayor and the committee, guys, please pass it on for all the troops. We couldn't be prouder of our department. And this doesn't change anything. This just is another feather in your cap because I mean, we very, very rarely get complaints about the Lakewood Police Department. So thank you very much. It's amazing.
wasn't surprised there were no blemishes.
We were all a little
Chief,
shocked.
you're gonna have to let me live that one down.
Listen, we were warned that it's very hard to go through on the first try. We were
Yeah,
like,
good for you.
Congratulations.
quite a
Thank you.
time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to be first?
Yeah. I also want to say thank you to the chief. Yeah, Moshe Zionist.
You didn't announce it.
Sorry.
It's open. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for moving the dais around.
Okay, Moshe Zionist 112 Elmhurst Boulevard, Lakewood. Chief. Anyways, I just want to say one of the very nice things about the chief is that when I write him an email, he reads it and he responds to it. So that's for being for a chief of the town, not just the chief of the police department, but the chief of the whole town. Two things I want to talk about. The first one is my ongoing meetings and happenings with the township zoning and inspection department. I'm a property manager of a large lot that came under the radar of the inspection department, the engineering department, county soils, the whole nine yards. I was hired by the property owners about a year ago. I didn't know anything about the red signs that were going to be coming up. And really the issues began 2 years ago. But about a month and a half ago, the inspection department came down hard on us, and that was when I found out about everything. I will tell you that Ron Pisser, the fire inspector, is a great guy, had very good dealings with him. I emailed him, I sent him pictures from the Home Depot store to make sure that I was buying the right stuff. It was very, very good. The other guys, I walk into there and I say, hi, I'm the property manager here. I know we have issues. I know we have red stickers. I know you don't like us, but I like you guys and I want to do everything I can to make this right. And I'm being thrown around. I go to one inspector and he says, oh, I know about you guys, you're no good. I said, okay, calm down. Tell me what I have to do. It's like, speak to Catherine Page. First they send me over to get a rental CO. I go to the rental CO desk with my 14 papers that I had signed by 12 people to do legal rental. They say, oh, you can't get a rental until you take care of your violation. You have to speak to Catherine Page. I say, okay, I speak to her. I have my 3 credit cards there. I'm willing to pay what this costs. Let's take care of this. Oh, she says to me, you have to speak to Mike Thulin, the building inspector. I'm going to try to speak fast because my time is running short. I say, okay, can I talk to you? I just want to know what I have to do to get this all right. Talk to Mike, she says, and she walks off. But even worse than what the township clerk staff does to me. But okay, today I emailed the plumbing and mechanical inspectors. I said, I know we got approved to the fire inspection, and I know what we have to do to take care of the electrical inspection. What do we have to do to take care of the plumbing? He says to me, oh, hold it, you have violations. You have to speak to Catherine Page. Catherine Page, she's the one who walked off on me. This is a little nuts. I'm here with money to pay you people to make you happy. There's no one person in that office who can just talk to me and tell me what's wrong and what I have to do. I'm willing to pay for it to take care of what I have to do. Everyone just says, go to this one, go to that one. I will let you know about Tom is a great guy. I emailed Tom half the story. The other half happened this afternoon. I told Tom this is inexcusable and unacceptable, and he responded that he's going to work on the cases.
Thank you. Isaac just said that he will be more than happy to get involved.
I spoke to Isaac, I know, he told me,
Through the chair, a little more than that, I dealt with the rabbi when you were away,
I'm
and it's obviously a complicated case.
very
It
complicated.
wasn't in compliance, and this happens a lot of times where there's confusion between different people, but I did tell you to reach out to me. You thanked me for helping out, you know, you let me know that you were the property manager, and you thanked me for helping out before you got back. Don't be shy, I didn't know you were shy.
I spoke to you, you told me to go to Chaim, I went to Chaim, and Chaim says, welcome to the show.
Okay.
I went to a lobbyist, and he told me this is the way it works over here.
Thank you very much. Isaac, one favor too. The story that Mrs. Sanchez brought up about being bounced around isn't the first time that I've heard that. And it's not just with this department. So please talk to Mike, and maybe we can get together with the HR department, this kind of training that we need to do. But let's try and make sure that we have designated roles that people know. Because again, if somebody comes in to pay one thing, and if it's bounced someplace else and has to put it, let's make sure that there's a formal process lineup, I guess, for people when we need to get things taken care of. So we don't have that frustration, going from one person and going back and back and back. So, thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Hopefully we'll get this-
Can I have half a minute now? Okay, thank you.
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Time should be running.
Okay, this has to do with vacating that lot. I've written a couple of letters to the township over the last several years. Property,
Name and address for the record.
oh, sorry, yeah, Walt Lucas, Newport Ave, Lakewood. Thanks. Lot A is owned by a school. They went to the planning board, and there's like 300 kids in there. Lot B subsequently was bought by the same school, so they own it but can't use it as a school. I live on Lot C, and Lot D is somebody else, okay? So there's a strip of land that's 3 foot wide that prevents the school from joining together as one unified body. And so I've written a couple letters over the years that this should be vacated. If it's vacated, everybody, each property owner, A, B, C, D, gets 18 inches of dirt, and it doesn't add to the value of the property. So that's been my plea over the years. I recently got a letter from the township addressing this thing, and I think it just simply should be vacated. Everybody gets 18 inches, the school can do its thing. The school can then go back to the planning board and add B now to its activities at Lot A. It's clear, you understood? No questions?
Mr. Attorney, through the chair. Now, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to ask which lot is yours?
C, right. So A is the school, it's in existence, 300 kids. B, the school owns Lot B.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm the one who authored the letter to Mr. Lucas and the other property owners. It's not a vacation. This is probably a lot that was created by way of a board. The township owns it. It's 4 feet wide. It's not something that can be subject to being vacated. I proposed that the township or the individual owning lots A and B subdivide that parcel, or have the township subdivide that parcel, and then do a sale of the portions of it to the owner of lot A and B. I wrote to Mr. Lucas. He apparently expressed some interest that he would want a portion of it, and lot D, as well as another small portion that's owned by R&D Associates. I wrote to all. Everybody seems to agree they want that little 4 feet or some portion of that 4 feet, but it's not a street vacation. This was a lot.
It was a-
actually
yeah.
formed, so it has to be subdivided.
You can't vacate.
The street doesn't physically exist.
Okay, everybody gets 18 inches, and the school's happy.
Well, the engineering, make sure there's no easement or anything.
No, we're on that. I've asked the owner of A and B if he's going to put the bill for surveying of that strip, and then we can proceed to quickly minor subdivide it out and sell it or offer, because it's less than 1/8 of a developed
We'll
property.
move ahead on it.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yep, you can have it.
Next, please.
I'd say my name, I forgot, I haven't been there in a while. Eric, you need my name or? Harold Herskowitz, 1496 Cedar Road, Lakewood, New Jersey. Two things are unfortunate. One thing is, it's unfortunate that I have my office right across the street. And the other thing that's unfortunate is I check Hefkervelt every once in a while, the website. So I was in my office and I turned on the computer and I saw Hefkervelt, and there was something that caught my eye, that tonight you're going to be discussing giving away a piece of property to an organization called the LCSW. So before I say anything, I just want to know what's the reason the LCSW needs a property, first of all, and then we'll go on from there. So can somebody answer?
It's been a couple of years now that they requested some location that they could put their vehicles, build a garage, and build it for their activities.
Okay. What they were doing a wonderful job until now. Is there really a reason? What's the real reason? I mean,
That's the reason. You have to talk to Mr. Galise.
are they not able to operate? Are they not able to operate without it? I mean, years ago they wanted a firehouse, and the firehouse ended up, Ackerman sold the firehouse, I believe, for $1 million, $900,000. How much did it go for? The township ended up gaining $1 million for something that we were going to give away for them for nothing. We have organizations in this town that do what the LCSW does. One of them is called the Lakewood Police Department. The other organization is called Chaverim. The LCSW is actually pretty much an organization that has no purpose. As a matter of fact, when we had a rash of crimes, one of the main suspects during that time when there were burglaries in the 14th Street area, one of the main suspects was members of the LCSW. So I would like to know why we're giving away a piece of property to them. Now, the other thing that upsets me is that I find it kind of coincidental that in a year when there's an election, all of a sudden, all these people that have to do with media are getting all these favors. So the LCSW, which is owned by the people who run the thing called the Lakewood Chapter, all of a sudden, it's coming up that they're getting this piece of property. They've been operating until now, fine, and now all of a sudden, they're getting this piece of property. And the magazine is writing nice articles about certain members of the committee that are running for township committee, right? We also know we had LED signs that we were told, everyone agreed pretty much that it's a danger. It's understood that it's a danger. But all of a sudden, everything got turned around, and it's no longer a danger. Why? Because the person who wanted those LED signs owns a website called the Lakewood Scoop, and he's writing nice things, again, about people who are running for township committee. Now, I just want to make one thing very perfectly clear. There's two types of corruption. There's corruption where a guy, he's got a position of power and he puts a couple extra bucks in his pocket. That's bad. That's pretty bad. But then there's a corruption where people just end up doing things that are terrible for the town, even though they don't even benefit from it other than the fact that they get to stay in power. And that, I think, is what's going on over here. This piece of land is not being sold to the LCSW because it's needed for the LCSW, first of all. Second of all, I don't see why they need a 50-year lease. Why do they need a 50-year lease? Why can't they just use the property? Why can't the township own it? If they need to park their vehicles, let them park their vehicles. You're giving them a piece of property because you want them to write nice things about you in the Lakewood Chopper. Tell the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Herskowitz. Bill?
Good evening, Mayor, Township Committee, professionals. Name's Bill Hobday, 30 Schoolhouse Lane. Just want to tell you about an incident that occurred earlier this month. We had our first open meeting of the Master Plan Committee. And because of the agenda, one of the items was going to be senior community needs, but the other was open space, parks and open space, transportation, etc. And because we knew it was going to be one of the items or subcommittee reports that seniors were interested in, we invited a lot of seniors. We took nearly all the spaces. At the same meeting, Mr. Flannery invited developers and investors to stand in the back of the room, and it was heckling from day one, start one, minute one, throughout the entire evening. We should have been, we started the meeting at 6 o'clock, intended to end at about 9 o'clock, but to get through the entire agenda. We never got through the entire agenda. When I tell you, I could not believe that I was in the Lakewood that I love. based on insults that were hurled at our residents. And to be quite frankly with you, when it started, insults went both ways. So nobody is relieved. I'm sorry?
You're talking about from the members of the master plan committee?
No, not members of the master plan committee. The audience, to seniors and builders and developers.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Everybody puts their faith and confidence in the township committee. Halfway through this, the heckling got so bad, we lost more than half of the crowd. They felt in danger. Mr. Flannery does a lot of business in this town, but when he chose to pit investors and builders against the seniors, that's where I draw the line. You can't do that. We are strong if we're all together. If we put a dividing line in there where we don't have mutual respect, we've lost it. I can tell you, I got 100 calls the next day from seniors that said, I'll never go to another meeting in that town. I'll never do it. And my plea to them is, because you had an unfortunate situation, I will do my best to ask the township committee to please try to prevent these kinds of things where there's a face-off at meetings in town. We're all residents of this town. We all expect to feel safe, to be able to speak our minds. And you know, the first report was Parks and Open Spaces, and we were telling about the wonderful things Lakewood is doing and our how we're managing the existing infrastructure and how we got plans to do additional things. I can't tell you how many people come up and said, well, it's for the seniors. No, none of them are. There's none of them around the senior community. We have our own. Somebody put them up to it, and it was Brian Flannery, and I'll never forget it. Shame on him, because he really did a bad thing to this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Shlomo McLean, Chitto Park. I want to add to Mr. Hubday's remarks. I was here too, and it was totally disgusting what happened. These developers paid some people coming up over here to the mic, representing themselves as the Orthodox Jews against the seniors. And obviously it provoked the seniors to speak against whatever comments they made. But to hijack a whole community, everybody in this community sits in traffic every day. Nobody wants the higher density and all that. And the developers coming over here, representing themselves, and the people that are paid, that did it. I confirmed, Sol Mizrahi paid somebody $100 to come up and actually intimidate somebody with a camera. So to come up over here, represent themselves as the Orthodox Jews, and they are representing the rest of the Orthodox Jews in town against the seniors, was a total chutzpah, a chilul Hashem that I never saw happening in a public forum like this. And now I want to say something else about what was discussed over here tonight in the workshop, about the planning board members and the zoning members discussing the applications with the applicants and the objectors before the meetings. First of all it's illegal. Second of all is, if in that meeting that they have before that, if money is exchanged, and I'll say in communist Russia, they had, everybody couldn't survive without stealing. They caught somebody stealing. They punished him. He asked him, why are you putting me in jail? He says, because you got caught. The fact that nobody got caught taking anything doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And I'm not saying it does happen, but the fact that you have in this town so many, the public opinion is so against density, and you have planning and zoning board members going against the public participation from them, that they will not improve variances and all that, as they were directed by the Township Committee, and they're still giving it out, it doesn't give the public other means of thinking about them. Now, when they speak to the applicants beforehand, or they take money, it's the same. By me, it's illegal. It's illegal for them to speak to the applicants before. And for some reason, the planning board in that aspect is better than the zoning board. The planning board will speak to the applicant and their representatives, but they will speak to the objectors too. The zoning board will only speak to the applicant. If you go over to the chairman of the zoning board and you want to speak to him about the objection about a project, he will not speak to you. There was an application that it seems like the chairman is pushing for it, like, let's go for it. And he denied it. They went over to him and they asked him, why did you deny this application? Why did you say no? The answer was, because the applicant did not come and discuss with me the application before the meeting. It's totally unacceptable. It's morally wrong. We expect from the zoning board and planning board to approve things professionally and whatever is the best interest for the town, and not by communicating beforehand with the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Again, you heard us up in the workshop. We are going to get together with both the planning and zoning board attorney and make sure that these kinds of things don't happen. And that the applicants, I should say, the members of the boards know the proper protocol for dealing with the public, with people who are presenting applications, with people who are objecting. So appreciate you bringing it to my attention, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Do you have a comment what happened with the master plan committee? What happened over here with the...
I think it's disgusting that people are coming over here trying to pit one part of the town against the other. I thought we had gotten past that years ago. I will say that people have a right to come to the microphone and say what they want. But when it's obvious that they're doing it to incite trouble with people, I think that we just have to rise above it and understand that. And hopefully other folks, the next meetings, people from the Orthodox community who feel differently, can come out and let the people from the senior community know that, no, we're not here against you, we stand with you, we're all residents of this town, we're all the same people, and we're all here for the same reasons. So I think it's disgusting if somebody were paid to come to the microphone and create problems. Unfortunately, in an open society, that happens occasionally.
Thank you.
I know I spoke already. I just wanted to see. I wanted to see if Menashe would leave again if I get up again. So that's all.
Avram Schubert, 18 Geffen Drive. I don't have time to really come to these meetings. I was here a few months ago with a very important message that I thought was important to bring to your attention. But before I get there, I just want to, while I'm here, in my development, my sister development in Red Oaks, a few of my neighbors came a few months ago and spoke about the situation with the Flowing White Milk LLC that took land that belonged to the development, supposed to be the Lakewood Township. They didn't pay the taxes. The builder had it. At this point, from what I understand, they're suing the township. And we're concerned that the township will try to settle with them and say, okay, you could take some land and we'll be happy with what your arrangement. But the people in the neighborhood specifically wanted to go 100% back to Lakewood Township, and it belongs to Lakewood Township, and it belongs to the people of that development, as per the zoning ordinance that before the development was built. So I hope that's brought to your attention, and you make sure that that's what happens, that we don't settle and just, okay, you could take your acreage because that's what it is. It belongs to the people. Now, when I was here last time, I brought to the attention about the traffic situation, and I remember clearly Committeeman Miller saying he's against density. And there was an email that was sent to the master plan, specifically saying, from what I understand, that we don't want density. We're not interested in it. That's what the people were coming out. The people were making it very clear that that's what they feel, that's what they want in this community. I went to the master plan meeting, I don't know, was it 2 months ago, and someone brought to the chairman's attention that this email that was sent to him. from the Township Committee. Did you get it? And he said, yes, I received it. Did you forward it to other people on the committee plan? He said, no. Why not? Oh, I get emails, I don't really look at them, I look at them, I don't pass them on, I don't forward them. It was such a flippant attitude that the chairman showed to the public, to what your directive was to him, and I was appalled that someone who's supposed to represent the public's interest and what they want, and how you sent them an email that you don't want density, was just like, nah, I never did anything with it. And you all have businesses. If you would have an employee and you send them an email, could you please do X? And he tells you, I don't really send them. Would he last too long in his job? I don't think so. It was appalling. And that's the chairman of the entire master plan, how it was. Now, then someone sends me an email that was sent from Dear Justin and committee members, sent from you. And just to read the last paragraph, density and growth are surely the lightning rods of this master plan. We need you to honestly evaluate where or if higher density is appropriate for Lakewood's next step. And signed by Mr. Miller and everyone else.
My letter.
They signed it. Now, I don't understand. If I heard you say you don't want density, you're not interested, enough is enough. And then I see Menashe Miller, you signed the letter that you're begging for density. I just want to explain. I'm not saying you did anything. So I came here. I just don't understand.
The letter was to say, beginning, we wanted to give a directive to the committee. Ultimately, people were saying we were getting involved. This is supposed to be a master plan made up of people who do things on their own. So my colleague here, Rachel, said, I'm putting together a letter, send it to the master plan committee. This is their thing, and bring it back to us. We will not make any recommendation at this point. We're hands off. You do your own thing. No one can say afterwards that we went ahead and did this to you. And that was the purpose of that letter. Ray presented it to me. I saw it briefly. I signed it. The purpose of the letter was to be that we're not getting this. Why are we the master plan committee? Because there's a master plan committee. Let them do their thing and then come back to us for our review.
The simple reason I sent the letter was just to let people know. The reason I sent the letter was to let the committee know that at the end of the day, the decision of what happens in this township begins with them. They need to give us the information. I'm not saying I want you to approve density or not. I'm just addressing the facts. A lot of people have come to me and said, tell the master plan committee to do this, or tell the master plan committee to do that. Several members have asked me questions. I wanted them to know simply that you are in charge of this process. Use your judgment, honestly evaluate everything that you hear from everybody. I don't want somebody coming to the microphone and saying, I don't want density, giving more consideration than somebody who says, I do want density. Listen to their reasons, listen to what they have to say, sit down at the end of the process and evaluate it. I also want them to know at the end of the day that they make recommendations. They're not going to set the policy. That's going to come to the township committee. At the end of the day, the township committee is going to make the decision of where everything goes. We need honest information from them to let us know over the course of the last year or so what they've learned from the township. And I hope that the information I get from them reflects everything that's been said by Bill and the people who've been coming to all of these meetings and yourself. So I did not want that letter to say that, this is a secret, we want density. That's not what it was for, that's not what it says. But it did acknowledge the fact that the most controversial part of the whole process will be density. And it said where or if, not where higher density is appropriate, but if it's appropriate. So please use your judgments. Tell us what you think honestly, based on all the testimony and all the meetings that you've had with people from around town. That's what it was for, nothing more, nothing less.
It wasn't asking for more density, this letter? It just seemed like we were asking them.
I just responded to you. Thank you very much.
I had.
I'm sorry, but
I was in the middle of talking when they answered me, so, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Hirsch. Since I've been making myself aware of operations of the Township Committee and other boards here in Lakewood, I've come to realize that usually what happens is that business is not always done as required. It's not always done with proper due diligence. What I can't figure out is if this is because of lack of experience, lack of proper guidance, or purposeful neglect. Since the master plan seems to be the hot topic in town, I've started to get myself acquainted with the whole process. I've taken my time to look into actual NJ state guidelines for master plan submissions. The very first thing that I observed, the very master plan committee was not formed correctly. Therefore, everything they have accomplished until now, in my opinion, is probably null and void. Let me explain. The state requires that there be a lot of general public input into the plan. So there are requirements for who is allowed to sit on this very important committee. That is to be a liaison committee between the public and the local government and the state. The first thing that strikes me, that there is a state law requiring that at least one member of the planning board needs to sit on this committee. Currently, that position is held by a very decent person, and this situation is no reflection on him as an individual. The chairman, Mr. Flankbaum. But the state planning board member requirement also has to be a class 4 member of the planning board, which means an ordinary citizen. Mr. Flankbaum works for the Municipal Utility Authority, and therefore he is considered a class 2 and cannot be the planning board representative on this committee. State law requires that the committee must avoid any appearance of impropriety. Therefore, the members of this committee cannot be part of any organizations that receives any property, funding, or benefits that would be a clear appearance of impropriety and could be seen as what is referred to today as pay for play. I have a printout of the appointment detail report from the township. According to the township's own paperwork, it shows the appointments were made on April 7, 2016, but on the final agenda of April 7, 2016, there is no mention of a resolution forming this master plan committee as required by state law. And proof of this resolution must be submitted to the state as part of submission process. It further mentions that appointments are for 1 year on your paperwork. And as we are now in May, and they were appointed in April of last year, I'm not really sure how that plays out. The master plan, according to the state requirements, is supposed to be what the people of the township want, not what special interests want. There are multiple conflicts of interest going on this committee, with few voices of actual regular citizens of Lakewood being heard. And even if they are trying to be heard, they are being drowned out by the current administration. The current administration submitted to the Master Plan Committee multiple individual requests for new zoning in private. And any consideration needs to be presented at a public hearing. There needs to be complete transparency in the process. Without having taken apart each individual who currently is on the committee, I believe there are few people on the committee that actually fit the state requirement. The majority do not. Being that this committee is formed improperly and against state regulations, I believe it is to be disbanded and reformed with a non-conflict of interest members and actual public input to increase the chances of citizens of Lakewood planning our next 10 years. I like the quote from the state guidelines. Nothing is more critical than the coordination, public support, understanding, involving the public in the plan endorsement process is essential to its success. I'd like to remind you all that there are laws in place for a reason, to keep a democratic and free society. Let's keep it that way. And I have one question, and I don't expect you to have the answer for me tonight. But with this new revelation, does that mean that we are ineligible to state funding that comes with the state endorsement, or do we have to just start all over? And if anyone would like any of the laws that I quoted, I'd be more than happy to provide them. I have printouts of them. Absolutely. And also have the agenda as well, from April 6, 2016.
Anybody else like to speak?
Okay. Nechama Goldstein, 31 Kingsfield Drive. I didn't really plan to talk about the master plan meeting, but since a few people mentioned it, I will just mention I was also there, and it was really a disaster. Bad. I mean, my children go to school there on Oak Street, and the houses are backing up almost to the property line of the school, and the street that goes through Broadway is so narrow. I mean, if that's supposed to alleviate traffic, that was really done terribly, planning. And Vine Street, they're going all the way up to Vine Street. There's no shoulder. There's no way to widen Vine Street now. You're going to have, I mean, this was just like, this area in Oak Street was designated for schools. I'm saying the township committee gave, auctioned off this land for very cheap to schools. They wanted to make it a school zone. I don't know why they couldn't have taken the rest of it and made it into a school zone. Why, everyone, I mean, I go to the zoning board meetings all the time. There's R40 zone in White Street, Cross Street, Drake, and they say, oh, we're gonna have a school. Oh no, we're gonna have another school. So if nobody wants schools in their neighborhood, they should have just continued to make that schools. This is like bringing in traffic. Besides for the school traffic now, you can have all the people, all the families. It's just a terrible thing, and I don't really know how this happened, and I wish there was some way to stop it already, because before they continue building all those houses, because it's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Right. I'm Gloria Resnick, 22 Sandstown. A few months ago in December, I went to a meeting about open space, and they mentioned that they want to redo the trails in the Crystal Lake Preserve. My boys like to hike, and I'm wondering, are they going to get to it before they have their own teenagers, or are they going to be able to actually hike there during the time?
I don't believe that there were any definite plans for that right now, but I wasn't at that meeting when they discussed it, so I'm hearing about it really for the first time. I'll talk to Pat Donnelly, our Public Works Director. Our Public Works Department are the ones who put the path around Lake Carasalgo and maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can find a way for them to do some of the trails over there. Just have to look at it and see where we can and can't put trails down. Mayor?
Have you ever been to the Crystal Preserve?
I've never been there.
There are trails.
There are trails? Where would
I
you?
walked it with my children.
Because they said the trails there are no longer any good.
They could be
They're
upgraded
just.
a little bit, but
Mhm.
if it's like hiking, go there before trails are put in because it's fun. I did it a couple of times. Very nice.
Oh, and also, there's supposed to be a municipal park on Lawrence and 9th. Well, I know the EPA has like regulations the size of this room before you could put in the park. You know how many more years it would be before you could even think of putting in the park?
So I was asking Tom Blow.
Huh?
What's that?
Old BPW.
Most of that has to remain open space anyway because it's wet. We actually started talking about it a couple of weeks ago. We haven't come up to any firm decisions as to what we can or can't do there. I know some of the neighbors said they didn't want to park there because they didn't want to attract people from all over town to go there.
Okay, I understand that.
We really want to have some meetings with the folks in the area, as well as see what we can and can't do over there. So it shouldn't take, we can designate an area as a park. It's not really that difficult. So we need to spend a little bit more time working with the area, seeing again what the neighbors want, trying to take their concerns into account. And moving ahead.
Okay, and another thing is, this week you're having the resolution on if what North Crest should become a one-way?
Yes, I believe so. No, that's in Westgate, correct?
Right, Westgate.
We didn't have all the information in time.
Uh-huh.
The ordinance was done, but it wasn't done in time for when we published the agenda on Tuesday, so it will be first read on the 8th.
That's the business we actually, I spoke with LSTA, they're actually bidding the busing out now, maybe, looking 10 instead of those.
Okay. It's just I live in Westgate, and I think all the streets should be one-way. I'm on a one-way street, and the streets that aren't one-way, everyone just parks on both sides, even though they're not supposed
I tried to
to.
have it ready for tonight, but I don't like to break my own rules about putting stuff on the agenda after we publish it. So
Okay, I understand. All right.
thanks.
Mike Friedman, 220 Cary Street. I just want to bring up again that the Cary Street and Route 9 doesn't have any no parking, and people have a lot of trouble driving on that corner.
Are you saying it wasn't painted yet?
I can't tell you if it was painted today, that it was painted today,
I called the
but,
Public Works the day after the last meeting.
well, it was not done right away.
I had the yellow striping on the curbs next to Route 9. I talked to Pat about that a couple of weeks ago. It may just be that they've been working on another project, but I promise you I'll talk to them again.
Okay.
I just want to mention one more thing. It's very hard to find out when meetings are because, as everybody really knows, it was even on CBS at one time, many of the people in the Jewish community do not use internet, and everything seems to be on the internet site of the township. So the only thing I could suggest is that maybe in one of the publications that people are very fond of reading, they can put out a list of meetings for a month at a time, that people could be able to decide. There's so many meetings already taken. It's like trying to go to all the weddings you get invited to. It just doesn't work out. You have to be able to choose. So if you had an advance notice of which meetings are when, you'd be able to prioritize the right meetings.
One of them has, the other publication, one of them members has meetings, the other one is.
On a regular basis?
Okay. Can I also make another suggestion? Clerk, you call the clerk's office maybe once a month or so. They usually have a calendar of all, because any public meeting has to be advertised. So if it has to be advertised, the clerk knows about it, because the clerk usually is the advertising agency. So if you call the clerk's office maybe once a month, you're just looking at it as a number, they probably would know the next 4 to 6 weeks of scheduled meetings. You might miss one or two, but as a general rule, they would probably have it pretty well.
And they won't mind being called.
That's the clerk.
Okay.
Also try and get the info into more of the periodicals in town as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so nobody else, we're going to close the public portion.
I'll motion the consent agenda, Mayor.
Any discussion? If anybody needs removed? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Ackerman?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. No ordinances for second reading tonight, so let's go right to ordinances for first reading.
Ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, granting an access easement to the Lakewood Township Municipal Utilities Authority for the purpose of providing access to the Lakewood Township Municipal Utilities Authority's properties where a solar photovoltaic field is being located over a portion of Lot 1 and Block 549.02 on the tax map of Lakewood Township, Ocean County, New Jersey.
Thanks, Dan. Go to motion.
So made.
Moved by Mayor. Second. Second by Minaj. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Ackerman?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes.
Ordinance approved on first reading, public hearing set for June 8, 2017. Number 2 is an ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the private lease with an option to purchase Block 563, Lot 6, lying within the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, pursuant to NJSA 48:12-14 and 15 to the Lakewood Civilian Safety Watch for nominal consideration.
We have a motion.
So made.
Moved by Mayor. Second. Second by Isaac. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Ackerman?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. Motion on correspondence?
I'll move it with the approvals and requests.
Second. Second. Second by Isaac. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Mr. Mayor, you need a date for the second reading on that ordinance.
Second reading is scheduled for June 8, 2017. Thank you. Motion to approve the bill list?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mayor. Second. Second by Isaac. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Ackerman?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. Anybody want to offer any comments tonight?
Yeah.
Night. Not what the measure, correct?
Yeah. Memorial Day Parade is going to be May 28th, on Monday, the 9th. 29th, Monday morning, at 10 a.m. right here by the municipal building. It's going to take it down to the Old War Memorial down by the lake, and there will be the laying of the wreaths.
Motion to adjourn.
So made.
Thank you, everybody. Please get home safe. Good night, everybody.
Good night, sir.
Please have a fun vacation. Thank you. Happy anniversary. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Watch out for flying Labradors. Thank you. No.